Hey everybody, it's Coach Jessica. Well, happy Tuesday. As you can see, I am pretty bruised up. I have made some progress where my face was actually cut from the accident that I had on Thanksgiving. It's healing up really well, but I'm pretty bruised. I'm able to do a smaller bandage, and I'm thankful for that today, that it's healing really fast. Although, it's still hard for me to get on camera like this. I'm just being really, really honest. It's hard to see myself looking this way. But I think when you feel conflicted about something, sometimes the best possible thing you can do is lean into that conflict. So the conflict in me said, don't get on camera. That's going to be there. It's going to be recorded. It's going to stay in the group. And the other part of me said, so what? This is the way it is right now. You had an accident, your face is bruised, get over it, get in the group. And we didn't talk about conflict in the group this month. And I didn't expect to talk about it today, but it's coming to me, so I'm going to go with it. Any conflict that you have in your life, it can eventually crush you if you don't deal with it. Sometimes one of the reasons that we eat is because we have unresolved conflict. There's things in our life that we just don't want to face, we don't want to deal with. And what happens is conflict always grows. Sometimes the conflict's within yourself, sometimes the conflict is between you and another person, but what happens is conflict builds and builds and builds and builds and it grows. And what happens is conflict, as it grows, it eventually topples over and it crushes you. You get crushed by the size of the conflict because you don't deal with it. On the other hand, if when you sense conflict in yourself or when you have a conflict with another person, if you get it while it's still small, where it hasn't built into something big, you crush it. So conflict is crushing, but you either crush it or it crushes you. And the earlier you catch it in the process, and the more you lean into conflict, meaning I'm pushing against conflict and I am leaning into it, I'm crushing it, the more likely you are to come out on top, and the less likely you are to eat about it. And again, I wasn't going to talk about that. I was just thinking about the conflict within my own self because of the way my face looks. But anyway, I really just wanted to hop on and say, we've got these last couple days here in the group. I want to make the most of them. And I hope you're thinking about how you've changed this month and where you've had breakthrough. And I'm just so happy with all the interaction that we had. I'm looking forward to a really tremendous, powerful December. I'm working through some of the things that we need to repeat and some of the things that new areas that we need to add to talk about. And I've got some good things coming for December. Thank you to everybody who's already signed up for December. I think finishing out this year strong is so, so important. We can't afford to just take a month off because there is no taking a month off. You won't be like you are in a month. You will either be better or you'll be worse. So going ahead and deciding to be part of this group for the month of December is a good indication that you're moving forward with being better. You won't stay the same. You'll either be getting better or you'll be getting worse. And we can do a lot of damage in a month if we're not working to move forward. So anyway, I had a couple of just miscellaneous things that I wanted to cover that I had told people that I would cover. And there are two nutrition items that I wanted to kind of tick off the list. And I've talked about both these things in the past, but it's been a little while, so I thought I'd share it with you because knowledge is power. And you can take it, and again, I think depending on where you are in your journey, it may be meaningful for you. But tuck it away. If it's not meaningful for you today, it might be at some point. The first thing I want to talk about is the easier thing to go over, and that's the role of fruit in our diet. Jeff actually asked me to talk about fruit because I think I had referenced it in another video, and I often have clients fall for this kind of, it's a lie, really. It's a nutrition lie, but it's a lie, and they fall for the lie that it's not as bad to eat fruit as it is to eat sugar. And I think I had mentioned in the other video, and I'm going to explain this to you again, it's actually tougher on our body to process. I'm going to use a banana, for example. A banana than it is for our body to process a spoonful of table sugar, straight sucrose. That is probably shocking to you, but I'm telling you this from a nutrition standpoint because I think sometimes we justify eating fruit sugar and we wonder why it turns on cravings and we wonder why we're having all these issues and it can lead to relapse. But it's also just not healthy. And again, people are like, how can something that just comes straight from nature, how can it not be healthy? Therein lies the issue. The fruit that we eat today bears no resemblance to fruit in the wild. It bears no resemblance to fruit in nature. And I'm going to put up, just right after this video, I'm going to put up a picture of a banana in the wild, and you just won't believe it. I've got pictures of other things. I've got some drawings of other things. But what has happened, and this is true of everything, when we get a hold of stuff that's good, a good thing, fruit, vegetables, whatever it is, meat, and we take it and we modify it to make it bigger, sweeter, naturally be resistant to pests. When we take something that was once good and we take it into a lab and we mess with it and we genetically modify it and we splice it and we bring other things together, we have altered that thing from its original state to the point it actually becomes harmful. And that is just consistent. The more we mess with something, the more harmful it is for our body because our body doesn't recognize that stuff. So specifically with fruit, take a banana, and again, I'll put that picture up as soon as this video is over. But we have changed it so much that it really doesn't bear any resemblance to the original thing. The original banana, again, you would rarely find one. It would be your backup food, right? If you didn't have any meat, let's say you're out and you're hunting and you're searching for meat, there would be seasons that maybe you would have this little kind of bitter banana type thing available to get you through until you got the superior fuel source. Our body was never meant to handle the fructose that's in an actual banana like we eat today. And so because the banana is so high in fructose, as are many other fruits, that's the issue. Fructose is extremely hard for our body to process. It is processed in our liver. And, you know, for many years, people thought fatty liver disease was caused from eating fat, and it most definitely isn't. Fatty liver disease is caused from consuming excess fructose, and it's not hard to do when we have created these fruits to be full of fructose. So fructose, fruit sugar, is really hard for our liver to process, and the more we eat of it, the more our liver has to work really, really, really hard to process and get rid of that fructose, and it creates this fatty layer. That's how we get fatty liver disease. So then the question is, are all fruits equally bad for you? And the answer to that is no. There are some, like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, that are pretty low in carbs, but forget the carbs for a minute. They also are really high in fiber and low in fructose. That is what's so important. And so some people do pretty well with including those types of berries in a low carb or ketogenic diet. But quantity matters. We're talking a fourth of a cup. If you actually get out, don't do a handful, get out a fourth of a cup measuring cup, it's not very much. It's basically like 2 strawberries. So, you know, you really have to look at even those things. You have to watch out for. Me personally, when I eat berries or like strawberries, or for example, it turns on the exact same kind of craving for more food. It doesn't just I don't just turn on cravings for more strawberries. It makes me want just more food in general. It just turns on false hunger for me, and I don't want to fight that battle. So I personally don't eat them. Lots of people do, and they do just fine. If you find that you can eat those, good for you. Go for it. But again, this is one of those things that you have to personally take a look at and say, is this right for me? Or is this something that I need to experiment? Do I have more peace in my life if I just eliminate berries? For me, I have more peace without them. So anyway, that's it on fruit. And again, I'll definitely post. I just know on my phone handy, I have a picture of a banana in nature, and it's unrecognizable. Same thing with so many other fruits. Peaches are about this small, like the size of our genetically modified berries. That's the size that a peach was in nature. And the ones we get at the store, these big, juicy, super sweet things. And it's just, again, it's not even really nature's candy. It's factory candy. So even organic, which means it's grown, and they're maybe not use pesticides and stuff like that, it's still not natural. So yeah, something like organic blueberries or raspberries or blackberries or strawberries would be your best bet. Okay, so the second thing that I wanted to cover, also a nutrition thing, and I think Anastasia asked me to cover this, and she was looking back at some of the photos. If you go to the top of the page where you can just click on photos, she was looking back at some of those photos that are in the group, and that's one of the things I love about the fact this is an ongoing group. You can go back and look at stuff we talked about before, and she noticed that I had a protocol here in the group for people who were trying to kind of move the needle with their weight loss and fat loss without needing to count calories or do macros and things like that. One of the things that I personally recommended to the group at that time was to rotate through high protein days and high fat days, and she wanted to know why. So there's a few different reasons. Number one, I've tried it myself and it works great. For me, having done this now as long as I have, if I do something and it gets a change in me, and my body is so used to this way of living, and it's pretty well set where it wants to be, if I can see myself getting leaner and healthier and stronger, when I do something at this point, I'm going to share that with people. The other thing is I've tried it with many, many clients, and it's worked for them too. So this is where the theory of rotating through high-fat, high-protein days comes from, and it's this. It comes from nature. We know that in the past, when, we as a society were big hunters, before we settled down and had farms and, access to, grains and even vegetables and things like that, the thing that you had to do was you had to hunt for your food. And we also know that the way that they ate was the prized parts of the food, of the animal, the larger the animal, the better. And the prized parts were the fatty parts. And the reason that was, they would eat the fatty parts first. And they did that because the energy sustained them for a long time. They could eat a small amount of it and they would stay full for a long period of time, which was really, really good. When they ran out of fatty meat, they would then move on to the leaner parts and eat those. And then when they ran out of leaner parts, a lot of times they had a period of fasting, or they would forage around and they would find some nuts or berries or some sort of vegetation that was edible. I believe the more that we can mimic what happens in nature, the better our body responds to it. I think it's why it works. Nowhere in nature does any creature eat exactly the same amount of food every single day in nature. So we're no different. If you're one of these people and you're logging your macros and you're eating the exact same number of calories and the exact same amount of fat and carbs and protein every single day, and you're stuck, it's because it's not natural. And I think sometimes tracking like that gives you this false sense of control, but the reality is you're not in control of anything. I mean, I can calculate macros all day long, but it really is never going to be exactly what your body needs, because our needs change from day to day. There are days that you're hungrier, there are days that you're less hungry, and we're just not meant to eat the exact same amount of food with the exact same fat and protein content every day. And so it's really the reason for cycling through is because that is exactly what would happen in nature. If I set you loose in nature and I gave you the tools to kill and cook an animal, that's what would happen. You'd eat the fatty parts You'd run out of that, you'd eat the protein, and then until you found another animal to kill, you might fast, or you might look for some type of vegetation that was edible. So it's basically recreating a natural sort of process that would happen. And ultimately, I've just found that it works really well for people, especially if you're stuck, if you want to get leaner. Now, the reason I said that isn't for everybody is that if you're in a place where you're just struggling to just eat healthy, restricting yourself or setting yourself up in a way that you have a very specific, rigid plan like that isn't always the best thing. It always will work, but I don't think it's the answer to getting free. If you're in a place where you are getting pretty free with food, you've reached a level of freedom that you're really comfortable with, and you want to see what would happen. Remember what I said on Sunday's call, people who continue to do well with this long term over periods of years, we stay curious and we experiment a lot. This is the thing. Like, okay, well, what will happen if I rotate through my higher fat days and my higher protein days? So that is a resource. It's here in the group. You can take a look at it. And I'm always happy to explain anything at all. So I hope that makes sense, and that covers at least two of the topics that were kind of hanging out there that people had asked me to talk about more. But again, let's make the best and the most of these last couple days. If you haven't signed up for December, we would love to have you. I haven't yet put the group out there to the world for December, and I'm always on the fence about whether to do that. Sometimes I just have a good group of people, and most of them are coming into the next month, so I don't even announce the group to anybody in the outside world. If not a lot of people are coming from the month before, I really need to do that for a lot of different reasons. We need a certain number of people in the group, and of course, for financial reasons, I need to do that. So anyway, if you're planning on signing back up, go ahead and do that between today, tomorrow, before the 1st, and then we'll bring in our new people and those of you who are returning to the group, and then I'll decide tomorrow whether I'm going to put it out there for the world to bring in new folks to the group too. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm always glad to talk with you, always glad to answer questions. If you're not going on with next month, you're always welcome to come back some other month. Some people come for, a month and they go away for a couple months and they come back, and it's always okay. You're family here. Once you've told your story to a group of people, you're part of our family. So anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully I'll be looking a little bit better next time I see you guys. Talk to you soon.